Sean, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Of
Hey,
course.
Sean.
Thank you for having me.
No, 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 it's an honor. What can I say? Well, Sean, I'm super excited to be here with you. I have a few questions.
Yeah.
So, if it's okay for you, I would like to start talking a little bit about Passage. Will be released in just a couple of days, basically. So, the first question that I have for you is, what emotions are you experiencing as you prepare to share this new chapter with the world in general?
Yeah. I feel like obviously excitement a little bit and it's good. I've been working on this album all of last year and we finished mixing and mastering it at the end of last year around December. And so I've been holding on to this record for like so long now, like 6 months, and it was supposed to come out May 1st, but I had to have a surgery when I got off tour in March, and so I had to push it back a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of a big relief to let it out because we played some of these songs on tour and they were just incredible. The energy that the crowd had with them and how they felt about them was incredible. So I'm excited to release it to the world and see what people feel. It's a beautiful thing. I never thought I'd be able to release music and have people care and have people get something from it. So it's always very exciting, especially the first few weeks when people are more excited and getting it fresh to see what they think. So yeah, just mostly excited, honestly.
Ah, that sounds great. Sounds amazing, honestly, Sean. And actually, the title, Passage, suggests some kind of movement, transformation, and
Yeah.
transition. So I was wondering about what does the title represent for you personally and from an
Yeah.
artistic point of view as well.
Yeah, I mean, passage is, it's a journey, and it's the way to get from one thing to another. You take a passage to get there, and I feel like as I get older and, experience more in life in general, and I think everyone does, you kind of mature. And one of the things that I've been um happy about and sometimes difficult is doing away with old ways that maybe used to fulfill me and used to help me when I was younger, but as I get older I want to become a better person and keep improving, and that's a big piece of some of this record is talking about changing and leaving old ways behind and becoming who you want to be more as time goes on. And that's kind of a big piece of it, and why I called it passage is because the last 2 years was a big transition for me, and even musically trying to find what do I want, what do I want to say, what do I have to, I think it's a constant thing with an artist, like where you want to, what do you have to say, what's important to you, and it's always evolving and changing. So yeah, for me, I think transformation would be a word that I would use to describe this record. And I think that for people that love the older records, like especially my first album, Shadows, which is like a fan favorite, for people that love that one, I think that this album reminds me of that first album and another album we put out called The Dark and the Light. It feels like a mixture of both, and it's very honest, it's very authentic and genuine. So, yeah, that's a long way to answer the question.
But that's a great answer. Thank you so much, Sean. And
Of course,
uh,
of course.
how does Passage differ from Honor and Vengeance or in terms of themes, songwriting, and maybe an overall sound,
Yeah, yeah. Well, Honor and Vengeance was it was a concept album. So it was based around this story that I came up with about an outlaw who, well, he's not an outlaw, but he's a man living in Western, kind of like a Western movie, like Ennio Morricone and these kind of things. And it very much had to do with his journey of becoming an outlaw and surviving and moving on. So that concept EPs are always a little bit different in that because they're written from the beginning of the album to the end to be this long kind of um almost like an orchestra movement, you know? And this album differs because I went back to the approach of every song is its own story. So you could listen to one song on this album and get a complete thought, a complete idea, a complete story. And the other one was more you had to really kind of hone into the it's not a quick listen. You know what I mean? Like you have to be into that story. So yeah, this one and the other album, I think it was more focused on capturing those kind of sounds too. More Western, more acoustic, more intensity in those ways. And then in this album, I opened it back up to anything we were inspired by. So there's some songs that are more like, bluesy rock and roll, similar to like Black Keys, Gary Clark Jr., stuff like that. And then there's other stuff that's much more sad bastard, I like to call it, and emotional and folk based, it's this album is fun, and these kind of albums are fun because whatever comes to you, you can just let it be. No pressure that it doesn't fit into this story or it doesn't fit into this genre. This one I said, no, 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 this is whatever we want to do, whatever we're inspired by and feeling, we're going to put it on the record, and it's honest in that way, I guess.
That's amazing, Sham. And well, maybe you already answered part of the next question, but
Sure.
you often describe your music as being driven by honest and emotion. I was
Yeah.
wondering about if was there a particular moment during the creation of Passage that challenged you emotionally?
Yeah, there's one song in particular called Tired of Trying, which was almost therapeutic for me as I was writing it. It was like I was dealing with some stuff, like I said, about transforming and becoming a better version of myself. And one of the things that I really wanted to work on was not drinking as much and drinking alcohol. And not that I had a problem, but I just found that it wasn't serving me. It wasn't helping me as much as it once did, or whatever. So, and then also I was starting to get burnt out of this cycle of like the pressure of sometimes being a musician. And I don't mean to complain because this is a beautiful life, right? Like it's better than I ever imagined, but sometimes you can get caught up in the current world, in the modern age of more content, more songs, more this, more that, sell more tickets, more streams, get more, 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 and it never ends. And if that's your goal, then I don't think you're ever going to be happy.
Yeah.
And so tired of trying was a big realization moment for me, and therapeutic because I put into words all those feelings about I admitted that I was tired of trying to appease this digital modern age and try to, yeah, it was that was probably the most difficult moment I had on this record, because it was a heavy song that I kind of had to work through emotionally myself as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Sean. And I have one particular question. I know your voice has become one of your most recognizable qualities, So I
Sure,
was
yeah.
wondering about how has your relationship with your own voice has been evolving over the years. Well, I wondered because you are a singer, and
Yeah.
I totally understand that the voice is super important for you, but I don't know. I would like to understand more about from your side and your point of view, of course.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a good question, and it's funny because I was listening back to my first record I put out in 2012 because I was making a cassette for it and I had to listen to it to approve the mix for the cassette. And I was listening and I was like, "Oh my God, man, I sound like a little boy compared to like what my voice has evolved into." So that's something they don't warn you about over time is
Yeah.
when as you get older, your voice is going to change. It's going to lower a lot of times, or it's not going to be able to do the same things you were able to do. It's going to mature in different ways. And, I had to kind of come to terms with that. And I like it more now than I ever have. I think the thing that sometimes bothers me, not bothers me is one way to put it, but when people get attached to how I sounded in 2012
Hmm.
and they're like, that's the best you'll ever be. And I'm like, I don't agree necessarily. I get that's a special album and it's a special place, but the way I look at albums is they're like a screenshot They're like
Hmm.
a photograph of a moment of time of
Exactly.
who you were then, where you were. And I have so many friends who won't put out their records because they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get better. I'm going to be better." And I'm like, "Yeah, but if you don't put it out, no one's going to know and you're not going to show how you improve." So, yeah, it's been a ride. It's been a journey. And I think the most difficult part has been learning how to take care of my voice better as I get older. Because when I was younger, I was able to do anything and I could recover quickly and youth on my side. And as I get older, I find that I have to be more careful, not push myself as hard every day on tour, be careful not to talk as much on the off time on tour and get good rest and drink lots of tea and honey. And so I think that's been the most challenging part, is learning how to physically take care of the voice while also pushing yourself and you know doing that.
Now, thank you so much, Sean.
Of
I
course.
love the answer. And Sean, I know we have time for one additional question. So
Sure.
I know you will be playing Mexico City next month.
Yeah.
So, and this will be your second show because you play in Guadalajara, Mexico, and correct me if I am wrong, but Monterrey last year. So what
Yes,
we
we
can
did.
expect,
Yeah.
amazing, and what we can expect for this particular show next month.
Yeah, I feel like this show, we the first time we played there, we didn't know what to expect. That's kind of how it is with a new country and a new place. And when we got there and saw the people there, and the energy and the emotion and the passion that they had about the music, it was so beautifully heartwarming. And I had no idea that was how it was going to be. And I remember last time I spent like 2 hours after the show just sitting out there talking to everybody, and they would come up to me and tell me the stories and what it meant to them. So for me, I feel like I want more of that, but now that I understand what we're walking into, I feel like I can craft a set that I don't know, I'm more prepared to lean into it, maybe tell a little bit more stories. The new material as well, we're really excited to play. And I feel like people are really going to resonate with it. So
Mhm.
it's a mixture. It's going to be a mixture.
Yeah,
I hate it when bands put out a new record and only play the new material. It's like they don't respect the old stuff. So for me, we're going to play a lot of people's favorites, a lot of old stuff, some new old stuff, and then some brand new stuff from the new record. So I know it's gonna be an incredible night full of heavy emotion. I always say our shows are like a roller coaster of emotions. We'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll have a lot of energy, and it'll be a beautiful experience and a memory that we can remember for years to come, hopefully.
totally agree with you, Sean. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We're
Of
excited
course.
to see you return to Mexico and experience the Flew Too Close to the Sun tour live in Mexico City. So, and
Amazing.
we will be there for sure.
Yes, I was gonna say I hope to see you there, but we're
Yeah,
excited. It's gonna be an incredible night. So I will see you there, my
absolutely.
friend.
Absolutely, Sean. Thank you so much.
Of course. Have a good day.